Joining me now with reaction is Texas Senator Ted Cruz, who voted against the vote for cloture today. Sir, welcome aboard.
Sean, always great to be with you.
I guess the first question I sadly have to ask is, did you have time to read it before you even voted for cloture today?
Well, I've read much of it. We've been going through it, but it's not by accident that they dumped a 1,200-page bill on us Friday afternoon before a weekend. Most of the senators were already on airplanes, had gone home by then, and then we voted on it Monday afternoon, literally as senators ran in from the airport. And the arguments, you know, it's much like Obamacare. We're being told we got to pass it to figure out what's in it. And frankly, I don't think Republicans should be going along with Democrats and playing those kind of games.
Yeah, I just read Senator Corker's statements. Why not just get it right the first time? What's your reaction?
Well, look, what Harry Reid is trying to do is he wants to jam this through fast. We've had a total of 9 amendments prior to this one that's been considered. In 2007, they had roughly 50 amendments. What Harry Reid understands is the American people don't support this approach. You know, Sean, we've seen this approach before. In 1986, Congress told the American people, we're going to grant amnesty to some 3 million people who are here illegally. And in exchange, we'll secure the borders, we'll stop illegal immigration, and we'll fix the problem. We all saw what happened. The amnesty happened and the border security never did. This bill and the amendment that was voted on today follows the exact same pattern. It has immediate legalization, so the legalization will happen, and the border security is sometime in the future, and just like in 1986, it's designed never to come into being.
All right, so the 2006 bill, in 1986, we got the amnesty, we didn't get the security. Right. The fence was supposed to be built since, what, 2006? Let me read a section here from this bill, because I think this is key, that proves that border security is not ensured in this bill. And it's page 35, line 24, and it says, nothing in the subsection shall require the Secretary, meaning Janet Napolitano, to install fencing in a particular location in the southern border if the Secretary determines that the use or placement of those resources is not the most appropriate means to achieve and maintain effective control over the southern border. Doesn't have to do it. So what's the point? There is no security. Am I wrong?
You're exactly right. This bill has roughly 1,000 waivers written into it. It hands it all over to Janet Napolitano and says, you know, use your discretion to decide what to waive. And it's designed never to happen. You know, there's a sharp contrast between this bill and the amendment I introduced that would have put real teeth into border security and would have secured the border first. This bill weakens, and I'm talking about the amendment we voted on today, weakens current law regarding a border fence. It weakens current law regarding biometric security. What it says is you got to show a photo ID. Well, Sean, if anyone has ever known a teenager, it ain't hard to go to a flea market and get a fake ID. I suspect, you know, more than a few of us have some personal knowledge about how easy that is to do. Current law requires biometric. This law takes that out. It weakens border security. And the most critical piece is which comes first. Do we secure the borders first or do we legalize first? And this bill follows the mistake of '86.
What was your reaction to the CBO report where it says wages will go down and unemployment will go up?
Well, and in fact, it predicts that illegal immigration will continue at massive levels. This bill is not designed to fix the problem. If this bill got passed into law, I guarantee you in another 10, 20 years, we'd be back here, except instead of 11 million people here illegally, we'd have 20 million or 30 million. And that is not a humane system. This system is broken, and we need to fix it. That's what the American people want, is to secure the borders first and to improve legal immigration so we can welcome and celebrate legal immigrants.
What did you make of all the additions here? We got the casino kickback for Harry Reid, Bernie Sanders $1.5 billion for youth employment. That also includes transportation and daycare. Did you see that provision?
I did, and this is just like Obamacare. They're trying to buy votes one at a time. Let me tell you one of the most troubling aspects of this bill that a lot of people don't understand. The impact of this bill effectively creates de facto affirmative action for those who are here illegally. because illegal immigrants, when they get this RPI status, are exempted from Obamacare. So if you're a small business owner, it costs about $5,000 more when you take into account the tax treatment to hire a U.S. citizen or a legal immigrant than it does to hire someone who's here illegally. Can you imagine a $5,000 penalty for hiring a U.S. citizen or a legal permanent resident? That makes no sense. To put a massive preference for those here illegally over those who have followed the law. And I've got an amendment to fix that, to defund Obamacare till there are no more RPIs waiting in line. And, of course, Harry Reid won't even let that amendment come up for a vote.
Senator, I noticed the Washington Post attacked you on that very point. So who's right here? You or the Washington Post? I'm not trusting the Washington Post.
You know, it's funny. The Washington Post called their response a, quote, fact check. But their number one argument is they said, well, Obamacare only applies to companies with over 50 employees, so it's a minuscule percentage of all the companies, so it doesn't matter. I got to admit, that's pretty ridiculous if they're arguing that Obamacare doesn't impact the economy. Two-thirds of all people working are working for companies with more than 50 employees. I'd be very curious if the columnist who wrote that, who works for the Washington Post, which has more employees, how he would feel about it if they decided to fire him and hire someone who was here illegally because it was $5,000 more expensive to hire a U.S. citizen to write that column.
Senator, maybe this is too simple for Washington. I have not gotten a good answer to the question, does the United States of America have the right to sovereign borders? Why would anyone be against doing that first?
And of course we do. Every other nation on earth does. You know, the nation of Mexico enforces its borders against people coming in there. Every nation that is sovereign does that. But let me tell you, Sean, there's only one way this gets stopped, except us. And no nation on earth has been as welcoming to immigrants as we have been. We're a nation of immigrants, but we've got to also be a nation of rule of law. The way we stop this, though, is for the American people to stand up. You know, on tedcruz.org, we got a national petition. Over 100,000 people have signed up in the past week. Call your senators, and that's how we can stop this from becoming law.
All right. Do you predict it'll still pass by the vote today? I guess you have to assume it will.
Well, it'll likely pass the Senate, but we can stop this in the House, and we can prevent a whole lot of Republicans from jumping on board this week. If you call your senators this week, there are 20 Republicans on the fence, Sean, who haven't decided how to vote.
All right, Senator Ted Cruz, appreciate you being with us.